Do you need to know how to read music to play the violin? Keep watching to find out. If we haven't met, hi, I'm Megan. I'm a violinist and teacher. I've been playing the violin for over 20 years. I have my bachelor's and master's degrees in violin performance, and I am Suzuki trained. If you are enjoying my videos, please make sure that you are subscribed to my channel. If you're interested in working with me, you can check the description for an application for private lessons, as well as my online self-paced membership program, Learn Violin Online. So, do you need to know how to read music to play the violin? Well, like with a lot of things, it depends. The two things that it depends on are the style of music that you are playing and your goals. If you want to play mostly folk or fiddle music, then you do not necessarily need to know how to read music. Folk and fiddle music has been passed down by ear through generations, and that's still a very popular method of learning fiddle music today. Additionally, if you want to play mostly popular music, you do not necessarily need to know how to read music either. First of all, a lot of pop music is written in keys that are not the most comfortable for the violin. Singers like to use a lot of flats. Us violinists, we prefer sharps. So being able to hear the tune and transpose it into a key that's comfortable for you. So being able to hear a tune and transpose it into a key that's comfortable for you is a great skill to have. It doesn't necessarily require the ability to read music. Honestly, it might even be more confusing if you see the music and it's written in a different key than you're used to playing in. Also, in my experience, popular music has a lot of complicated rhythms, and that's another instance where looking at the sheet music can make it more complicated than it needs to be. However, if you want to learn how to play mostly classical music, then yes, you do need to know how to read music. A lot of classical pieces, especially the more advanced ones, are very complicated and virtually impossible to learn by ear. There's a ton of double stops and really fast notes that it's virtually impossible for the ear to catch all of that without seeing the sheet music. I have never met a professional classical musician that did not know how to read music. And I've never met a professional violinist who played the advanced pieces, think Beethoven Concerto, Tchaikovsky Concerto, without learning them from the sheet music. Now, this isn't to say like we don't listen to music and listening to music is not important and learning by ear isn't a valuable skill to have, because it absolutely is. But generally, classical musicians or people who want to play classical music do need to know how to read music. Now, when it comes to your goals, if your goals are just to play for yourself, just to play music that you hear on the radio or online and just enjoy the process, then no, you do not necessarily need to know how to read music. Similarly, if your goals are to play in like jam sessions or in a band that plays mostly like folk or Irish music, then you don't necessarily need to know how to read music either. A lot of that music is improvised, and although you don't need to know how to read the sheet music, you definitely have to have a good idea of your scales and your chords. There's no escaping scales, no matter what type of music you want to play. If you want to play in a classical ensemble, so think an orchestra or a chamber ensemble like a string quartet, then yes, you do need to know how to read music. Orchestral pieces and chamber pieces are often extremely long. We're talking 20, 30, 40 pages of music. And while it's possible to memorize that, why would you really want to? Also, if you are playing an inside voice, so say like violin 2 rather than violin 1, sometimes it's really hard to hear your parts in recordings, and you're not going to always be able to tell what notes exactly they're playing. Also, orchestral music and chamber music has a lot of rest, so memorizing the amount of rest that you need to count is also just more work than needs to be, in my opinion. So there you have it. Now I hope you have a good idea of if you need to learn how to read music based on the style of music that you are interested in learning and your goals. If you are interested in getting started on your note reading journey, check out my course, The Basics of Note Reading, which I'll leave linked in the description. This course has 30 lessons, and each lesson has both a pitch and a rhythm component. Topics are introduced through instructional videos, and then you are given exercises for each of the pitch and rhythm sections. And then you will check your work with the answer key, and there's also test your learning pieces included along the way. So like I said, I'll leave that linked in the description if you're interested. Thank you so much for watching, and please make sure you subscribe before you go.